hello. Oh my god, what is going on with that? Oh, shoot, I forgot. Give me a second. I don't know why he is so big. That should be good. And he's supposed to be down further because you're supposed to. There we go. Yes, up close and personal, apparently. So how we doing? How we doing? How we doing? Oh, wow. Dude, that's cool. I legit like that. Is that better? He's still big enough to hold the screen, but yeah, I really like what you did there, Andy. That's a dang good job. I like how it looks. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I still got to figure out what I want to do. I'm one of those people when I give gifts, I may not always do it at the right timing, but when I see something, I have no qualms about doing it. You know, but like, oh, that. Like, it has to make me think of the person. Like, I may be completely wrong. Yeah, I've had some very poor timing. But the gift always comes from the heart. That's what I can say. Is that when I do gifts like that, it is from the heart. Like, it just has to make me think of the person. Or I have to put a lot of thought into what I'm going to do and give to the person. You know, like if I'm going to get them make them something, I have to feel it's up to my own standards. If that makes sense. Oh, that'd be kind of interesting. See, like, what I mean by that is like when I did the stuff for Ghost, like I did the little PFP that he still uses that I'm still embarrassed about, even though I made him an updated one that I think I did better. Or the album cover to Bits of Heroes, where I did that. You know, that to me, like, I don't know if they see it that way, but that's how I see it. Is that that's something given to them from me. You know, an acknowledgement of I'm here because of them. You know, or like when I find something special for the wife, you know, it's because one, she's really hard to buy for. Trust me, she knows she's really hard to buy for. So most of the time, I'll send her like a list of things and she gets to pick something. Or, you know, stuff like that. I don't know. It's weird. I have a very different idea of gift giving. I also have a very different idea of like holidays. If that makes sense. But I think the handmade things, that'd be cool. I literally played an ad. Why are you playing an ad now? Oh, and Andy, have you ever turned on your mod icons in settings for the channel? I just realized you may not actually see the mod stuff because you actually have to turn them on. There's a little, at the bottom of Twitch chat, there's a little chat settings thing right by where it says chat, the little spiky wheel. And you can show your mod icons and you can see what messages you want to be It does say mod view? Okay. I just realized, because it took me a while to figure it out. Like when I first started the channel, I didn't even know that I was missing something. Infinite and EXO showed me how all that's supposed to work. Yeah, see, I don't know. I've never done this before. Andy, I've literally only been doing this for a year. This was never something I thought I would ever do, is be a streamer. Yeah. You know, and it's simple to do. I mean, thankfully one time XO was there because I accidentally banned Infinite. Thankfully XO was there and unbanned her real quick. Oh yeah, Anna's a wonderful mod. XO. It's still weird to me to call her Anna because one of my buddies, his wife is named Anna, and it's a crossover in my head. XO is XO to me. Wait, Andy, I don't think you've ever seen, you ever see the jersey that my wife got me for starting this? Did I ever show you this? Let me put it on and I'll turn the camera on. But it's from all the way back when I started, you know, the Neon Bard channel. So let's hide that. Okay. So, which is hilarious because before I ever knew XO was going to be part of it. What's up, Tater? I had literally put XO as the number, which I just found hilarious. But yeah, the wife got me the, what's up, Jake? What's up, Tater? But yeah, the jersey is actually something that the wife got me for my birthday before we even moved. So this is way back later. So welcome in everyone. We're just chatting. We haven't really talked about anything super serious yet. It's just super simple chats. Oh, that's funny. Jujutsu Kaisen. Nice. That's the next anime Ghost is going to introduce us to, is Jujutsu Kaisen. What the hell is up with... Twitch is going to piss me off. I thought it just told me an ad was running, and now it's saying an ad is running. Yeah, okay. Even though I ran the ad like I'm supposed to. Egg? I literally, I don't even know how many of you are actually... Yeah, I figured Tater would have the ad. I'm going to switch back over to the VTuber. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how many of you are there, but I don't feel like being on camera today, sorry. I just did that to show Andy the jersey that the wife got me. Because I showed you the jersey, right, Jade? Should have showed you the jersey. I had it when we lived with you. Why did I not? Look, it could have been just my Mistake. Valid response. I've slept since then too. Oh, and I should be able to hang out this Friday because Ghost is not going to be available Friday. So I'll be able to hang out this Friday. I hope that's okay. I mean, it's still only going to be on Discord, but hey. So how are you doing today, Jade? Everything going okay? Woot woot. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Well, don't you guys have that big vacation coming up soon? Isn't that... I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. I definitely... Oh, but you don't have all the hours yet. Oh. Got a raise. Nice. Back. Good. The egg is that a frying pan with egg? I think that's a frying pan with egg on my screen anyway. Yeet. All right, everyone's back. Everyone's back. Oh, you're right. You sent the egg. Oh my God. Smart. You sent the egg, and now it's a fried egg. Yeah, because it had cooked. I get it. I get it. As soon as you said, reminded me that you sent the egg, it's like, I got it. It's a 3-minute egg. Oh. So, I know it might sound funny, but I want to talk about shoes tonight, now that most of the people are here. Poor Taters probably already heard this conversation quite often, poached. But shoes are very important. Shoes aren't meant to be a fashion accessory. No, I'm talking about shoes, not footsies. Like, yes, you can find shoes that are nice, but, and mostly this is to you ladies, there is no good reason to wear high heels. None whatsoever. You can hate me all you want, and that's okay, but they have been found to be more damaging than anything else. Same thing with certain men's shoes, how they run too narrow. It's damaging. But I never understand that response. That doesn't make any sense. How does the angle of your foot make your butt look good? When I stand on my... Okay, platforms are a different matter. I'm talking about the actual, stiletto heels. Anything, like small pumps and stuff like that. Right, I know what platforms are. Did I say platforms? I said high heels. High heels. It's math. You can't wear those. But I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense. People keep saying that it makes your butt look good. How does raising your heel up make your butt look good? You're not flexing your butt, so it's not firming it up. Yeah. No, I broke both of my ankles at 2 different times when I was a child. So, ankle issues run with me. It's just... Yeah, okay, stand up on your tiptoes. How does that change your butt? Your calves are the ones doing all the work. But even so, if you're in heels, you're resting your foot on the heel. So how is that changing anything? Like, it's something that just literally doesn't make sense to me, because that's always, oh, it makes your butt look good. It makes your butt look higher. That's about it. And I'm not even talking like firmer or rounder. It's just because it's higher because of the heel. You know, is that worth the damage? You know, just like wearing shoes. And this is part of a bigger conversation. I'm not just picking on high heels. Balance, sure, whatever. But how much damage is done? Yes, I don't think it was the 18 to 19s. It was the 16 to 17, because it was Louis the 14th or the 15th. Or maybe even the 16th. It was one of the Louis and his court that started the high heels and makeup, by the way. Which you got to realize. Yes, way before our time. At least publicly. You got to realize why these things were invented. Not as bad as foot binding? Really, Jade? Have you ever seen a 60-year-old woman's foot after wearing high heels in the office for most of the time? Your foot is literally crushed. It's not the ballerina shoes that cause the problem. It's what the ballerinas have to do that destroys their feet. But shoes are very important. You have to wear something that is comfortable. It's not a fashion accessory. It is something that literally gives you the foundation for the day. If you are tired and your feet hurt after walking around all day, you have the wrong shoes. Right. But the simple fact is that if your shoes aren't protecting your feet, if they're not taking care of you, you have the wrong shoes. Slip-ons? Slip-ons are fine as long as they're taking care of you. If you can walk around for like 4 to 8 hours a day, give or, interspersed, obviously you take breaks and you sit down. If you can walk around like that and not have your feet hurt, you have good shoes. If your feet hurt, you have bad shoes. You know why I say this? Right. But I'm just saying that why I can say this is that your feet are literally designed to carry your weight. Well, Andy, what I can tell you about that is that two things. It might have to do with your medical issues, since I don't know all of your medical issues. So, take this with a grain of salt, what I'm going to say next. But shoes and bed, these are the two most important things in your life. Like, those are the places you don't skip on paying for good stuff. And good stuff doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. The bed I got is literally from Walmart, but it's a good bed. Or was it Amazon? One of those two. It's one of those memory foam in a vacuum. About insoles. Insoles are very important. If your shoes need them, wear them. Like, if you have to wear a specific shoe to work, buy insoles. Good insoles. Don't cheap out on them. If your shoe isn't that good, get good insoles. Like, I know that people that work at greasy restaurants and stuff like that, they have to wear very specific. Dr. Scholl's used to be really good. Honestly, I'd start Googling around, like actually talk to podiatrists, feet doctors who know a lot more about it than I do. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, so the wife gets insoles, and I actually happen to have a box for the insoles here. Manufactured by the Foot Care store. but they're professional full-length orthotics. Where is Ash? Meow meow. You hiding out? Because you're not behind me. Oh, there you are. Hi, babies. Andy says hi. She looks so confused at me. She's like, you got the headphone thingies on. Why are you talking to me? But there's better brands than Dr. Scholl's. Basically, anything that's major manufactured is probably garbage. It's probably going to work for a little while, 2-3 months, and then you have to replace them. Which, hey, if they work for the 2-3 months because that's all you can get, just remember that as soon as your feet start hurting, you're probably going to have to replace them. Also paying attention to how you walk, how you plant your feet is very important. You know, a lot of people don't realize that because of the way you stand, because of the way you walk, you'll hurt your hips, your back, all about that. You want to know why I don't like Dr. Phil? Simple. He's a scam artist. No self-respecting psychiatrist is going to broadcast somebody's problems on TV. Nobody, no self-respecting psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever the hell his degree was in. Right now, I'm thinking he was a business major. Oh, yeah, let alone, I mean, think about it. What was her name? The Catch Me Outside girl? Literally destroyed her life because of the minutes of fame she got from Dr. Phil. No, it wasn't Bad Bunny. I can't remember her name. It was Bad something. Bad Baby? Sure. But yeah, Dr. Phil, like, literally destroyed lives. That. Sure. Yeah, Dr. Phil completely destroyed lives. And you may not even realize it because a lot of them weren't public. But I will tell you that I guarantee you for every one person that had a public crash out, probably 100 had one behind the scenes, or however many people he talked to. You know, it's the same damage that Jerry Springer did to people. You know, it's the same damage that reality TV does to people. See? And here's the problem. Parents outsourcing their parenting. That's another problem with Dr. Phil. Do you know how many of those schools destroyed lives? There was the one up in Maine that people were literally kidnapped and taken to because their parents allowed it. That was basically ran like a cult. That's the same thing Dr. Phil was doing. He just has more money to hush it up. I mean, literally, Dr. Phil is probably one of the most destructive right next to Dr. Oz. Well, that just tells me that your parents didn't want to be parents. Flat out. Sorry to say that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe whatever. But if you didn't actually have behavioral issues in school and stuff like that, that sounds more like a parent issue. I don't know, ask Tater, how bad of a dad was I? You know, I mean, I don't think I was that bad, but I had, you know, I treat parenting. Well, exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, okay, so I treat parenting like I treated security work. That might sound terrible, but hear me out real quick. As a security guard, my philosophy was if I had to do my job, like actually, take care of somebody that was being a problem or something like that, I didn't do my job, because my job was actually to deter problems. Right. See, your parents used it as a method of control without actually wondering, oh, I don't know, why were you acting the way you were? What was wrong? What was going on? What was the real issue? And there's a lot of times that parents do have kids that they need help with. Don't get me wrong. And for those parents, I sympathize. But you really need to get professional help and make sure that that help is on both sides. Because most often when a kid is having trouble acting out or something like that, it's a deeper issue than just acting out. Yeah, see that is wrong. You should be able to, right? Hey, Andy, you know how I stopped my mom from snooping in my stuff? My mom and dad? I had probably the messiest room you would ever see. I had a floor full of Legos that I would walk on. My parents thought I slept in the bed. I actually slept in the closet. Yes, exactly. See, my mom used to try to do that. But my mom would have an absolute, just mind-melting problem when she walked into my room because I kept it so messy. What she didn't know is that underneath that mess, in quotes, it was clean. It was just Legos strewn about on the floor and like other toys and stuff that she literally just couldn't even walk in. Right? To me, it's about, I always tried, and I probably failed quite a few times, but I tried to treat my kids when I was raising them like they were people, not like they were children. I wouldn't generally say no, even though that's probably how they saw it. I would say no, or not no. I would say that's not a good idea, and here's why. I would try to explain to them why it was a bad idea to do whatever they were wanting to do. I would try to explain, but sometimes you have to lay down the law because you don't want to hurt them. You don't want them in trouble. You don't want them to be in pain or hurt or whatnot. That kind of thing. You don't let a kid touch a hot stove just to show them how much it hurts. Like, now if the kid just, I also had the rule of 3. I tell you to do something or tell you no, everything's in 3. First time, it's just no, stop that. Second time, it's like, no, really, stop that. Third time, then it's a punishment. That's how it works. Right. The rule of 3s is very important because you have to show that a kid has some certain amount of autonomy. Otherwise, they're just always going to push your buttons. They're always going to try and do something. If the child doesn't understand the reason for the rules, they're obviously going to push. Like that's just going to happen. I think the reason why my relationship with my oldest is a little bit more rocky than it is with Tater is because I made mistakes early on. I thought my parents knew better, as dumb as that sounds when I talk about my parents. I thought my parents knew better than I did about parenting, and so I was trying to follow what they did, and I realized it didn't work. That's my bad, that's my fault, my mistakes. I also tried very hard not to repeat mistakes. Again, didn't always work, but damn it, I tried. I'm going to be honest. I really did try to be a good parent. I think I did okay. I think it also helped that I had good kids. The kids that actually worked well with what was going on, that understood what was going on. If that makes sense. That they were good kids. And yeah, like I said, the oldest, me and her, we have a few issues. But I think mostly it's because we think too much alike. Well, and it's one of the reasons why, now, hear me out, Andy. It's one of the reasons why I think we need to get rid. True, but you also were a good kid. You didn't push my buttons because I respected your boundaries, or tried to once you were able to tell me what those were. We worked our shit out. Now, I want to do away with the whole foster system. I think we should go back to orphanages. I think we need to run orphanages. Yes, exactly. See, Tater, you also know what rules to break and when. You have reasons for it. It wasn't just to assert dominance. True. But I also think that, Andy, No. Okay, hear me out. I think we need to go back to the old boarding school method. Do away with schools as we have them now. I think we need to go back to how Britain used to do it, where kids would go to school and come home for the holidays. Because we have too much cyclical issues that keep cropping up, and it's really hard to break the cycles. These aren't genetic. These are things learned. So if you can get the kids into these, they're like group homes, but think of it more of like college dorms, only for... Yeah, exactly. I honestly think we need to go back to that. I think we need to reform the whole way we look at parenting, education, and all of that. To be perfectly honest, especially in the day and age we're at now, because, oh my God, parents don't even want to parent anymore. They just hand their kid an iPad and say, there you go. And I get it. Parents are busy. Parents have things they want to do. But I'm sorry, when you have a child, you take on a responsibility. Yeah. You let these kids, think about, and here's the thing. Think about how many cyclical issues could be at least lessened over time if you put kids into these. Don't get me wrong. I love my kids. I would have loved to have had my kids at home the whole time. Well, I do. I did. Realize how that sounded. But the fact is that, oh yeah, the weekends, maybe the kids come home on the weekends. Who knows? But it shows not only that, but it shows the kids are there to learn. They can build bonds with people. You could move a student up without them losing everything, their whole social circle, just because they're in a higher grade. You run the dorms age ranges. Right. And obviously you would have to have some heavy checks and balances on it. You would have to have some huge, a body that is there to look into it, to do all of this, an oversight. Yes, there would be a whole lot of bureaucracy to it. But also think about it. How many kids in this country go hungry, you know, if they're not at school? How many of these kids don't have a secure place to sleep in their own home? How many of these kids are being exploited on friggin' Twitch right now, YouTube? Honestly, I think that should be absolutely illegal. I don't think anybody below the age of 20, well, sorry, not 20, 18, should even be allowed to be a Twitch streamer, TikTok, you know, any of that. I don't even mean being going on it. I think they shouldn't be allowed to be a creator. I also think that anybody that runs a family channel should be arrested or at least have an investigation. If you are making content from your children, there is something wrong with you. If you have not learned from how many child stars, whether it was rock stars, movie stars, you know, TV stars, have screwed up lives that it's done by their parents. Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, the Coreys, you know, I mean, right. I think, well, okay, Andy, all social media says that you're not supposed to be under the age of 13 to use it. Yet you have 5-year-olds. Like, these platforms aren't even enforcing their own rules. And parents aren't enforcing those rules. Parents are the ones that are allowing it. Kids shouldn't have cell phones. Kids should not have, you know, tablets, you know, direct access to the internet without supervision. And a friggin' app's not gonna do it. You as a parent have to be over their shoulder. You have to have that computer in a public space where the kid has to be watched. I cannot tell you how many lives were ruined or destroyed just even in the early days of the internet because parents didn't understand what they were doing, what their kids were doing. And this is coming from somebody that grew up on the internet, okay? Right. You know, they want all this age verification BS and everything like that. Real simple. Hold the parents responsible if the kid's on sites that they're not supposed to be. You don't have to run age verification, but that's not the reason why they're doing it. The whole reason they're doing the age verification is just to friggin' get all your info. It's literally so they can sell you to other companies. It's the only way they're able to monetize anymore. I mean, why do you think Twitch is failing? YouTube, I mean, none of these platforms are profitable. You know, that's the ridiculous part, is that Twitch still hasn't made a profit. Which, I mean, on my end, I think that's bullshit. I guarantee you Twitch makes profit. Not with how many ads they run. You know, maybe they need to look at how much they're paying their higher ups. You know, and, you know, that's a platform I'm using and I'm monetized on. But I don't think I'm costing the company more than I'm making the company. I mean, with just the amount of subscribers I have, you know, how many subscribers do I have right now? I can't remember. Okay, no, that's not. It's not what I was looking at. Analytics? Yeah, analytics. Okay. Give me a second. Sorry, I have 5 subscriptions. So, not a lot, but, you know, and I'm not asking anybody to subscribe. I'm literally just trying to do some numbers here. So I have 5 subscribers. So the subscriptions, I have 62 followers. Those aren't all subscribers. It's different between YouTube and Twitch. Subscribers on Twitch actually have to pay money, whether that's through Prime or, yeah, exactly. You know, so I have 5 subscribers right now. It's $6, rounding up. I get half of that. So I get $3 of it. They get the other $3. You know, so 5 times 6, It's 30 bucks. They make 30 bucks a month off me directly. They also, I run, ads, 3-minute ads twice a night, minimum. Normal stream, 9 to 11, I run ads twice. Once at the very start, once in the middle. Like about here in about 20 minutes. Or 14, 15 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. So they're also getting paid for that 3 minutes of time that I show ads, or 6 minutes, every 2 hours. So 3 minutes an hour. Sure, obviously on the small amount, that's not making them a whole lot of money. But when you add that up by how many people run a Twitch channel, that's a lot of people. They're making money. The curiosity is where's the money going? And I personally have a point of view that Amazon is using it as a tax dodge, because the Twitch doesn't make money, so it's their loss leader. But most of the ads they get paid for. So they're making actually a decent amount of money. So that's why social media wants all your info. Because they want to sell you in quote unquote targeted ads. Like we talked last week about advertising. And it's ridiculous. So when we're talking about schools and how they're run, social media shouldn't be a part of it. Every school should have their intranet, one that is locked down to just being that school. Like legitimately air gap, which means there is no connection to the outside world. It's all just ran internally. So you legitimately are controlling everything. You legitimately get to see what the kids are doing, talking to each other. You have oversight of all of it. It's ridiculous to think otherwise. All of this online, Chromebooks and stuff. Let the kids go back to books. Because we found that their education is actually failing by using the electronics. Gen Alpha, I think it is the first age where they're actually dumber, according to tests, quote unquote, according to tests, than the generation ahead. Right. Mostly because you guys were seen as at-risk youth. Well, I think almost all youth is at risk. Right. I don't think they should have them. I think there should be something like an old school dumb phone that the kids can use. You're like, okay, say like you're taking the kids, or the kids have privileges to go out and like down to the mall, to a fair. Then you hand out basically track phones, and you can locate the kids directly where they are. You can, so if the kids run into trouble or if you need them to come home, boom. Right. But you understand what I mean? Like if the kids are going out of the dormitories, they should be able to have a dumb phone to get in touch with police if they need to, get in touch with the school if they need to. Hell, make it a 3-button phone, and each button is a speed dial. 911, the school, and one other. Maybe a teacher, a direct line to the chaperone that's supposed to be there. And you give the kids a chance to exist outside of the bubble of the school while still having a safety net. But they don't need a smartphone. Meow. You just love sitting in the hallway where it echoes and you like meow. Yeah, see, that's something that makes sense to me, though. to be perfectly honest. You having a phone like that makes sense to me. You know, sure, when you're at the house, there's no reason to use it. When you're out and about, you might need to call, you know, whatever, an Uber. Well, I prefer if you called a cab, but hey. Because the licensure for a cab is a lot more, you know, stringent than there is for an Uber. Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't know how old you were at that time, but I mean, that makes sense to me. You know, sure, I'm a fuddy-duddy. You know, I mean, if anybody knows me, they know I'm not a Luddite. You know, I don't hate technology. I hate how we're using it. 1920, okay, well, that might have been a little bit strict. Like, once you're an adult, you're an adult. That's fine. Just yell at me if I'm saying something wrong, Tater. Argue with me. It's fine. You know, I appreciate that. But I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, if we can reform the whole school system, it would be a huge deal. And I really think that somebody following, like, they're trying to look at doing away with the the Department of Education for the federal government. I don't think the Department of Education was given a wide enough mandate. And I know I've said this before. Sorry for the thing, but my position is going to be static on this. The federal government should dictate what the education is per level. Like, flat out, regions shouldn't be able to control what comes, you know, their way. That was the way the system was run. You age out of DCFS, CPS at 21, but I got screwed out of a lot of my rights and put in an adult group home at 20. Okay. See, and that's something I don't quite understand either. Are you sneaking up behind me? Okay. Because once you're 18, you're responsible for yourself. Just like when my kids, you know, were 18. Yeah, you are stalking me. I see you. I see you. The dynamic changed. I mean, yes, they were still under my roof, but, you know, just tell me if I need to leave the door unlocked. You know, tell me, you know, something like that if you're going to be home late or not staying over to a friend's place or something, because you're a frickin' adult. I'm going to treat you like it. Sure, there's a certain amount of respect, and if you stomp on my, you know, the house rules, which, you know, it's like, don't let me smell your room. If I'm smelling your room by walking by, something wrong. Oh my God. See, the simple fact is that there should be a standardized test for stuff like that is just the basic information. You know, number two, I also think that there should be a roving, you know, network of, of independent reviewers of the information, like just as a standard practice. Before anything gets put into, you know, especially when you're talking about psychological, I think it should always be reviewed by somebody from another region. No, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, obviously you would be, Andy, from what you've told me so far. You weren't given autonomy, so you were used to having people tell you what to do, hence the codependent. You were used to people controlling what you did. You just picked what the person, you know, controlling you, you know, what they would control you with. Your parents controlled you one way, the schools controlled you another way, and your friends or partner was trying to get you to do something else, but that was something you could accept because that was a person you chose, not something that was chosen for you. That's how codependency works. And yeah, that's really the healthy thing right there, Andy, is that no, don't have anybody tell you what to do. I am perfectly happy having people inform me about certain things, but damn sure don't sit there and tell me what to do. I think I have a very much touch of oppositional defiance syndrome, where you try to tell me what to do without asking me. Yeah, I'm good. My hackles are raised. My heels are dug in, which is again why me and the oldest don't quite get along as well, because she does the same thing. And I realize that yes, I probably should, that it's probably healthier that, I'm just going to sit here and wait for her to get back in touch. Right. But it should be your idea, your choice to go with it. Not them telling you what you need to do. But I'm going to run the ad a little early because I've been drinking a lot more water lately, speaking of that, Jade. So I'll be right back in 5. And I'm back. Give me 1 second. I'm going to do something. Be right back. Meow. Meow. Hi, babies. The Fluffykins. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Oh. Yes, it's okay. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, don't give me that. You're purring. Yeah, you're purring. Oh, I thought I'd show her off since she was sitting here being a nice little girl. Okay, you've had enough. Okay. That was a good girl. Yeah. She tries. She tries. I was hoping to be able to show you guys. Switch it back to the VTuber. Thought I'd at least show you guys the baby. Yeah, you know she knows. Somehow she knows. She hates it. Absolutely hates it. Even though she was sitting there purring the whole time. Yes, exactly. Just like one of those particles. But, you know, that would be what I would do if I could control the school system. One, college wouldn't be such a shock. Most of them, the electron in particular, and the photon. You could, it's the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. You can know either how fast a particle is moving or where the particle is, but not both. Something like that. That's why they act like a wave and a particle at the same time. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that when you talk about schooling, I get very heated about it because schooling is one of the most important things. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't let it go like how they used to do with the sanitariums or like the old school, like what you hear about the orphanages. Well, you also have to turn a blind eye to certain things that kids will get up to because you have to let them have a certain amount of freedom and a certain amount of ability to get in trouble and suffer the consequences, which is what I think we're failing most of the children today because we keep saying, oh, they're just a kid, they're not responsible. Well, how are they ever going to learn responsibility if you never hold them to a consequences of their actions? I mean, look at how many of these streamers that are old enough to know better, but choose not to really pay attention. You know, they can be absolute, you know, fiends and not really understand that the people they're interacting with on their live stream are real people. You know, that's where the problem lies. Like, they don't register that these are real people, that these are live people, not props for their live stream. Like, it just really, you know, it's what they call main character syndrome, but it's really not, in my personal opinion. It's not main character syndrome. What it really is they have very much trouble telling fantasy from reality. Like, to them, it's all just, okay. And you'll have to tell me what rules. I'm waiting to hear. Okay. The big googly eyes and yeah, I don't understand. The old school emojis, you know what, emoticons are based on? Like, because those are not emojis, those are emoticons. Emojis are the actual graphics that they added to it. They even took the amount of imagination out of people's heads. Oh, no, 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 no. People call them emojis now. You're not wrong. I'm using an old term. And people now see them as like something esoteric or bad. I mean, my God, I used to run what was used to be called MUDs on, well, I didn't run the MUD. I played on the MUD, which is a multi-user dungeon. And it's all coded in ASCII. ASSICA or something like that. Okay, Zalgo text? I don't even know what the hell that is. It sounds familiar, but it's been a long time since I've been introduced to that concept. Yeah. Like, I don't see a problem with those emojis unless you start using off-color ones in the wrong way. And I mean, even if it's just a little bit, I'll let you get away with it. Yeah, whatever because they can also mean something, and because the AI or whatever, a lot of the streamers will use strict protocols. I have bog standard, protocols. And I have a little bit upgraded where I don't let people that are not mods post links. Like, just that to me just is a protection to not just me, but also my chat. Flipping the table. Yes, exactly. It's annoying, but it is also their choice. Maybe there is a reason because people abuse that privilege. With me, it's like why, if people overuse some of the sound alerts. I've literally warned people, I don't mind you using the sound alerts. But early on, there were people that were like overusing jump scare and stuff like that. So I put it on a longer and longer timer in between. Right. Probably some of them don't even know. They just set it to strict and walked away. Some of them, it's overzealous mods that the actual streamer probably doesn't even know it's happening. I mean, a lot of streamers don't even bother with paying attention to what's going on. Right? Yeah, bots will do that. I don't really know where they go with it. But again, I think it's taking the consequences out of the action. It's the same reason why I hate censorship. Do I love hate speech? No. But I'd rather know how a person feels and what they say and shame them for it. Or at least know that I can avoid them rather than it just being censored. And I don't know that that's what the person actually, believes. It's why I hate all the identity politics. That, women or trans or gay, lesbian, whatever, the alphabet. I just treat y'all as people. If I don't like what you're doing, whether it's on my stream or talking to me in real life, I'm gonna tell you so. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with your quote unquote identity. Like, legitimately, it doesn't. I don't care. Like, I honestly don't care. I also don't think, me personally, I don't think I should be able to know that you're trans by you telling me. And what I mean by that is I don't want to see, you know, somebody telling me they're trans right off the bat. Like, oh, because that's something that should just be between you and your partner. You know, even on dating sites. Like, oh my God, oh no, I found out I dated a male to female trans. Well, did I like the person? What should what should that matter to me? If I liked the person, if I liked all of that, sure, if they haven't gone through the surgery or something like that, yeah, that might be a little warning before we go to the bedroom. But outside of that, what should it really matter to me? You know, I'm not saying they shouldn't exist. I think they should exist. I think it should just be treated as just like, gay people should get married. I should not have any say in whether or not they can get married. That's not my business. I also personally, the state needs to get their nose out of marriages. I don't think a married couple should get better, tax incentives or something like that. Especially not until they bring a child into it, because yeah, a child's expensive. But just because you're married, you shouldn't fall under another. Well, I don't even think the church should put their nose into who gets married. I mean, that's why we had all that friggin' stupid debate over, marriage is between a man and a woman. Marriage is between two people that love each other. It shouldn't matter their gender. It shouldn't matter their race. It shouldn't matter anything. Yes, I'm even going all the way back to when, mixed race marriages were illegal. Like, why should it matter? Is it harming you? No. Oh, but what about the kids raised in that way? You're overthinking it. If it doesn't matter if the two adults get married, whatever progeny comes from that shouldn't matter. See, I think of it in terms of, I don't know how many of you are aware that they first toyed with the idea in Star Trek Next Generation of having Jean-Luc Picard have a wig on, or a toupee. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why it's bad, but a lot of people stand on it. Which I find it really funny that a lot of religious people stand on it, even though 90% of them, 90 to 80 or 90 to 100% of them by now, are mixed race. But hear me out. I actually have an anecdote. So when they put Jean-Luc Picard or Patrick Stewart, he was bald all the way back then, in the toupee, it looked bad. Like, you could tell. That's what I'm saying is everybody's mixed race because multiple races don't exist. Okay, I'm just going to explain that right now. There is only one race, the human race. Yes, I know that's cliche, but it's true. Skin color does not dictate you as being another race. Like, right, we're all the same color on the inside. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't even think traditional gender roles should matter. I joke all the way back, when I was homeschooling my kids, taking care of the house, the wife worked. Okay. When people ask what I did, and you guys have seen me, I'm not very effeminate. When people ask what I did, I would literally look at them and say, oh, I'm a housewife. People like, oh, you're not a wife, you're a house husband. It's like, well, no, I'm doing the traditional role of a housewife. You can call me a house husband or a house spouse all you want to, but the simple fact is I'm a housewife. I clean the house, I take care of the kids, I make sure the food's on the table when the person gets home from work. That's a 1950s housewife. We were lucky that we were able to do it, but we also... It's what I was doing. It was a housewife. I don't think wife is technically gendered. I see it as more of a title as what somebody's doing in the home. You know, just because my mom was a housewife doesn't mean that I can't be. Because I don't see it as being a gendered role. Right. Yeah. But that's all I'm saying is that people put way too much stock into something that doesn't matter to them. That they should have no care about what somebody does. People put way too much stock into putting their nose into somebody else's friggin' business because they're bored. Yeah, Jade knows. You know, and I like doing the job. Like, I have the mentality that can cook, clean, take care of the house. I'm perfectly happy doing that. Like, it's legitimately just, I'm perfectly happy. I'm lucky that I get to do it. I'm lucky that my wife literally pays for the ability for me to do this. And some people are like, oh, you're a leech. It's like, how am I a leech? You know how much money it would cost us if we had to put the kids back in daycare? If we had to, or some kind of care. Exactly. Well, see, the funny thing is that that's not just Midwesterns, Andy. That's pretty much everybody. Nobody really should care. It's this friggin' minority of people that are highly vocal, that want to control what people do. Flat out, that's what they want to do. They want to control what other people do. And I think it's BS. I think that's absolute garbage. And I should have no say in what somebody does unless in some way it affects me. Oh, Grandpa got in an accident? I'm sorry, Ninetails. I assume he's going to be okay because you said he's getting out of the hospital. And welcome in, Ninetails. I would ask how you're doing, but that doesn't sound very well. Right. That's Grandpa, not Grandma. Okay, it was a typo. I just thought maybe you misread it. It's okay, Andy. I'm sorry. I realize it may have sound... Can't misgender Grandpa. Well, like I said, I assume he's okay if he's getting out of the hospital. And because he's on the phone and we're taking a walk, it might be a little bit hard for Ninetails to respond quickly. Oh, he got in a car accident. Right? I don't think Ninetails really cares. That's sad, Ninetails. Well, as long as you know they're fine. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's okay. I'm sorry that you don't have a car. Um, that was one of the things that I really liked when I lived in Portland. Their mass transit was awesome because you had the trams, you had the buses, and you could pay a multi-zone 24-hour pass, which meant you could get on any of it. Like you had unlimited access for that day, for that 24-hour period. And it was relatively cheap, and I loved it. It was nice. But this is all the way back in the late 90s. Me and my buddies would get together. There was this park and ride that was near where we all could group up because they were in college. I was working. I was homeless. And I would park my car at the park and ride. And the reason why we used that particular park and ride is because it was right next door to the police station. Yeah, not many cars got broke in there. And I hear you, Ninetails. I hear you. It's only the struggle is real. Is insurance going to be able to cover anything other than just the price of the car? I mean, did you have it paid off? Was it just liability? Did you have insurance? I know a lot of people can't afford insurance, so, you know, I get that, even though it's technically illegal, which I think is extortion, but that's me. It's one of the things that I also think that Texas, you know, could do a little bit better is public transport. Yeah. And Grandpa's the last one, I think. You think he did, but you don't know? Okay. But also, you know, I mean, it just depends on how much it covers. I wish there was some way I could help you, but right? Public transport, like in Texas, is probably only in the major cities. Like I hear Austin has decent, and I'm not sure about Dallas. Right? Well, okay, so here's something that I can talk about without, you know, derailing the whole thing. That's the other thing. Why the hell is something called public transit privatized? If they do, I don't know where they are, nor do I see the bus stops. I'm sure closer into town there probably is, but I haven't seen a bus one. Other than school buses, but also I don't get out much, Andy. What's up, Infinite? Were you just popping in, or have you been lurking? I didn't know how much I might need to recap. But yeah, you know, public transit. Lurking with issues? Yeah. Well, we get rain here at Waco. And, you know, I'm sure some deals could be made otherwise of getting around. If that was the case. But public transit, I think, is one of the worst things that we ever privatized. You know, it's just like the police. Why should the police have to pay for themselves? Why should public transit? Exactly. Hell, it'd probably do me good to get out of the house every once in a while. But let me put it this way. See, public transit is a public service. That public service should come out of your taxes. I mean, I already pay income tax. I already pay, well, okay, I don't because I don't work. But, you know, I pay taxes. Well, the wife pays taxes. You know, if I ever buy property, I pay property taxes. Why the hell should the public transit even have to pay for itself? That should just be something you do for your community. Like, legitimately. That just should be something you do. And I hate that misnomer that, oh, you don't pay property taxes. BS, I don't pay property taxes. I pay rent. You don't think my landlord is factoring in the property taxes to my part of the rent? I pay property taxes. Trust me. You know, and it's also one of the reasons why I absolutely detest people that own multiple houses that aren't landlords. Like, I'm not calling out landlords. I don't like it when people have vacation homes. But anyway, I digress. We have public service jobs, civil servant jobs. Like, being a police officer is a civil service. Being a garbage collector is a civil service. Being a bus driver for public transit is a civil service. So why are these companies privatized? And what I mean by that is, why do we let somebody like Coach, look it up, they run 90% of the bus lines and routes throughout the United States. Most of your public transit buses aren't run by the city. They're run by a company called Coach that the city pays. But if the city's already paying them, why do we have to pay a ticket price? Sure, increase my taxes if I get something out of it. You know, I mean, there's plenty of things that are public service, or used to be, like utilities, power, sewer, garbage. These all used to be utilities. And they were run by the public, not by private companies. Privatizing the power just made it bad. I mean, especially here in Texas, like, I've never had competing power companies that are using the same wires and everything that the other company uses, but somehow their prices are different. Like, how do you even figure that out? Like, that legitimately makes no sense. How can you have competing power companies? Especially when they have to get together on the maintenance of all the wires. Like, they're pooling their money. CPS. Oh no, I think there's 5 competing companies or 6 here in Waco. And it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think I have CPS. I can't remember who we had to switch to because they were the cheapest one. But that just seems ridiculous to me. When I lived in Centralia, we had, you know, pretty expensive power. But again, you know, we only had one person to go through. Okay. But yeah, I mean, the point is, because I know there's Green Mountain, which don't ever go with them. They're actually a scam, straight up. Oh, it's renewable energy. Then why am I paying 3 times as much for you as I am paying for a non-renewable resource? All you have to do is pay for maintenance, and yet I'm paying 3 times as much for your renewable? Renewable should be cheaper. Why is it more expensive? They do it just so they can get away with it. Because they can get away with it, because people feel like they have some kind of responsibility to, you know, greenify their lives when it's the companies that really make any effect. Bot snacks. You know, I mean, the difference being is that if every human creates $1 million worth of garbage in their life. Every company creates $1 billion. Solar panels. I go back and forth on solar panels. Okay, because you can actually leach some of the heavy metals that are used in solar panels into your soil. It's actually one of the reasons why farmers hate when you buy a field and turn it into solar panel field. Because the solar panels actually dirty the ground. You want to know and I've mentioned this before. I know, I sound like a broken friggin' record. Just go nuclear. Well, if you put the solar panels on your house and it catches in the gutter, you can actually mitigate a lot of it. But these giant solar farms that people put out there, no, it's ridiculous. Because silicate and all of the heavy metals. So it's one of the worst things second worst thing that Obama ever did. He put a moratorium on nuclear exploration. Hydro is actually extremely damaging, Jade. It undercuts a whole lot of how rivers, lakes, things work. You want to know why everybody's reservoirs are getting so bad? It's because hydroelectric power plants aren't paying attention to how to take care of it. Now, there is a different system that is hydroelectric, but don't dam it. It's known as power bank, or riverbank power? Well, yeah, at the time they didn't know how damaging solar was. You know, even if you put in all the nuclear disasters, including our weaponization of it, we still haven't equaled the damage in nuclear to all the other, individually, stacked up, but, individually against all the other power sources. Other than, I think, solar is the one that's done the less. Right. We now have a lot of different ways to generate electricity. See, the problem is that a lot of these companies want to do one thing to power. So, especially like here in Texas, or at least where I am in Texas, there's a lot of charged air, a lot of static electricity. If we had carpets with static electricity generators to feed back into the system, plus, rain, when you get rain, you can have kind of a hydroelectric mini thing going on in your gutters to generate power in a microcosm. Same thing when you flush your toilets or going down the drain. You could have passive solar on your roof. You could have a wind turbines line the peak of your roof, just slightly off from each other, in kind of like a V8 format. You could do some of these things. Are you going to mitigate all of the electricity you're going to use? Probably not. Are you going to lessen by incorporating all of these things into your house? By a landslide. Put in, the static electricity, put in the kinetic. Every time you open a drawer, every time you open a door, every time, you put in something that generates from that. Every time something's stepped on, you generate electricity from that. You might be surprised at how much of your physical activity that you put in during a day can go back into your house. Of course, this would take a radical redesign of how we do houses, which I think, honestly, is needed to be done for a long time. A long time. In America, we make disposable housing. That makes no sense. There are methods of construction that have survived 2,000 to 3,000 years minimum. Why aren't we using those? Like, legitimately, especially with how we could make them now. Having plumbing access, electrical access built into the walls. So, oh, hey, we have this whole new way of generating or, transmitting energy through the walls. So you just pull out the old stuff and slide in the new wires, whether that's fiber optic or whatnot. You just slide it through. If you make a house that is meant to be modifiable, but it's more permanent. Like, I don't know how to describe that. Like, the components can be switched out, but the house itself is designed to be more permanent. You can actually save a lot of money. Oh, but if you're saving that money, that means the money's not going back into the economy and the corporations can't make the money. So the corporations lose, but the people win, and they can't have that. And this is why we keep running into this issue with advancing technology. People don't understand that this advancements in technology are being stymied by the corporations. You think your phone is as efficient as it can be? Oh, hell no. I mean, one, look into how many times rigid airships, dirigibles, blimps, under new construction, new technology, new ideas, have been catastrophically destroyed, the prototypes, by accident. There is theories that it's tech quashing. Basically what they're doing is that the airlines are afraid. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I could take a cruise ship in the air, like an airship cruise ship. Right, Andy. Right. And you're not even as old as me. Jade and I have seen, going from landlines and a portable computer weighed 25 pounds ever since the iPhone was introduced. That's when you got the brick. I find it funny that before that, cell phones were getting smaller and smaller. The simple fact is we don't need smartphones. I still think this iPhone is uncool. I think smartphones are uncool. Exactly. I mean, yeah, the beepers, black and white TVs to color. I grew up with a 13, like the first TV I remember having was a 13-inch black and white TV. And that's because we were poor. It wasn't that color hadn't been invented. It's just they were expensive. Right? Or the Sidekick, or, some of those cool phones that I think we've gone the wrong way with technology. Absolutely. I also think that we've gone the wrong way with power generation. I did like my new Razr. I will say that did not have to use the phone as much because it had the back screen, but I think it's still too fragile for somebody like me. I'm too big. I'm too rough with it. Oh God, no, that screen was fine. I didn't have a problem with the screen. What's up, Green Jeans? Welcome in. Glad to see you here. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the bendy screen. No, my problem was I dropped it and then, I probably dropped it just at the right, I even had a case on it. I dropped it the right way, or not the right way, sorry. I basically spiked it on the floor, on the ground, because I tried to catch it when it went to slip out of my hand, which was entirely my fault. I'm doing good, Green Jeans. How about you? So when I went to catch it, I accidentally swatted it down to the ground, and it still worked. The screen didn't crack, obviously, because it's a flexible screen. The case didn't crack. Nothing seemed outwardly wrong. until I started, charging it up, and it would get really hot when I charged it. Like, scarily hot. So I think I did something to the battery. Right. See, that's the thing is that smartphones have actually made communication, yes. Andy, texting made no sense to me other than that's probably why I still, and I will figure out how to get YouTube chat on screen, I promise. Right? Well, I'm not, okay, here's the thing. People say it's faster. Bullshit. It takes me longer to type than it does to say something. Flat out. It would take me 10, 15 minutes to text somebody a lot of it, the information, versus pick up the phone, make a quick 5 to 30 second phone call, and done. The only time I ever texted back in the day was when I was giving somebody an address or instructions for something so that they could refer back to it. That was all it was. Right, portable email, send a voice note. Well, the only reason why I didn't send a voice note, which you could if you just tell them, hey, I'm going to call you back with the instructions, just don't answer so you can have it as a voicemail. I would send like directions to a house or the address to a house so that they had the instructions right there. Because remember, this is before MapQuest was easily used. Or, stuff like that. Yeah, now I can send a voice note, which is fine. And right. Well, I didn't mind caller ID, but I miss being able to come home and see who called me. I miss being able to get away from the phone. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Youngsters have it easy with Google Maps. Yeah, Google Maps is pretty good for the most part. Just if you're a pizza delivery driver and they decide to, if they decide to like send you to a new division, yeah, that's a problem. And yeah, it is a problem with people not answering the phone. I mean, but mostly you can blame, phone companies who aren't locking down on scam calls. Well, see, Infinite, I guarantee you that if you didn't grow up with GPS, you wouldn't get easily lost. Like, people don't realize how... I remember TomTom. A buddy of mine had their TomTom set to Darth Vader's voice. And that was hilarious. Folded maps. Right, because you hated him so much, you learned how to friggin' read the map. Yoda voice. Rand McNally. I still have a World Atlas somewhere. Or did I get rid of it? I think I had to get rid of it. The fact is that ham radio, favorite spy gear. Well, get ready. It's probably going to make a comeback. Right. I just learned. Okay. So here's the thing. This works in U.S. cities. All you have to find is your cross streets. Yeah. It sends you the most inconvenient route. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I used to be a professional driver and I didn't have GPS. We used what was known as a Thomas guide, which is basically, Rand McNally only on kind of steroids for your routes. And like, it was literally, Thomas guide is literally a professional thing. It's probably who paid for TomTom is my guess, which is probably why it was called TomTom. But once you learn your cross streets, Oh. Well, it depends on how expired. I mean, if they're a few years out, that might be a problem. But if they're just a few months out, it's not a big deal. They might be a little stale. I had a buddy that used to work for AM/PM, and instead of throwing away all the food, he'd just bring it over. Of the expired stuff, because, I mean, they were calling it off anyway. Or charging it off to the company because it just didn't sell. But I just hope they didn't make you pay full price, because that's the BS. In most modern U.S. cities, you have north, south, east, west. So your address will involve north, south, east, west. And that dividing line, you have a main road. You have one road that goes generally north-south. You have one road that goes generally east-west. And every road outside of that, you know, depending on where it is in the cross, tells you where it is. And each number, you know, like 100, 200, 300 is each block. East side. And if you know what you're doing, you can just read an address and know where to go. You don't need directions. Because America is one of the few countries that decided to put everything on a grid system. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them also have that. Tend to have same road pattern. Numbers, presidents, trees, directions. So like if you had, you know, Northeast 63rd Street. Speaking of numbers. So Northeast 63rd Street is really easy. If you find your dividing line of north and east, basically if you look at the map of the city and north is up, north is up. So northeast, that address is going to be on the upper right-hand corner of that map. 63rd generally means it's 63 blocks from the main dividing line. So it's 63 blocks up north. 63 blocks, 63rd Street Northeast. So it's real easy that you can go all the way up 63 blocks and you're going to the right. So if you're going from the city center, which should be your zero pattern, you go north on that road, 63 blocks, take a right. Your address is going to be out there and say like it's 1700 63rd Street. So once you take that right onto 63rd Street, you go 17 blocks. And it's going to be the house on the corner, the far corner. Boom, done. You just found your way without having any directions. I mean, it's really rare that you're going to find it being that easy. But if you have a general idea of how cities and stuff work, right? Numbers went one way, letters went the others. Some cities, it's streets go one way, roads go another, boulevards and avenues also, which are the bigger ones. Right. And, once you learn this stuff, it's actually really easy to navigate American cities. Now, don't try that in most other countries because they don't do it that way. I think a lot of them are trying to see if they can convert that way, but it's not easy once you already have it all there. It's not easy to set up a city on a grid system. Which, honestly, it was the smartest way to do things. And Washington, D.C. is weird if you look at their streets and stuff because they don't even follow the grid system. I don't know. I don't know. I pick things up. I mean, my dad was a professional driver. He was a long haul truck driver. He, did a whole lot. So I learned a lot about roads and how to use them. So it's very rare that I actually need to use the GPS. Not only that, I remember how to drive. Now, if I'm going long distance or something like that, you're damn skippy. I set up the GPS. I tell it where I'm going, even if I barely pay attention to it, to be honest, because I know where I'm going. I drive often. So I don't really think about what and where I'm going. But, what else? What else? I've got a few minutes left and I'm kind of running out of conversation. Sorry. Well, to go back for a second, when I was talking about, mass transit. Geese are following you? That's funny. Green jeans. But how do I put this? Dr. Phil, transitors, schools, or shoes. That's true. We did cover a wide variety of topics. Shoes are important. Dr. Phil's an idiot and shouldn't be listened to. In fact, do the exact opposite of whatever he says. Mass transit should be paid for by the city, not by the people. And schools just need a complete redesign. The other thing is that geese, whether it's Canadian or not, they know their prey and they hate it. They're not afraid of much. They try to they don't care that you're bigger than them. They will honk at you. They will attack you. They will bite you. Right. We should make, bus driver rather than, a hated, ridiculed position. Whether it's, like that school bus driver that decided to friggin' park on the tracks and almost got all those kids killed. Yeah, they'll hiss at you like an angry cat. Yeah. Yeah, they're friggin' winged snakes is what they are. I hate those bastards. When I was a kid, we went and visited my aunt. She lived in Boise. And at Boise, they had this park that had... Actually, they do not have a CDL just like semi-drivers. They do have a CDL, but they have to have a CDL Class B. Not a Class A. Which is the reason what B is a Class B with passenger endorsement. I know, I was training to be a bus driver once. And then I realized that it was not a scam, but it was terrible. Because it's a passenger endorsement, not only is it just as difficult, there is a whole extra section. So most people will have a driver's license. Yeah, you drove a bus, a school bus, which means it didn't have air brakes unless you had the newer ones, which a lot of those older they only started recently putting air brakes in buses. No, I'm sorry. I've got that backwards. I was right. No air brakes. Yeah. Which, if you're driving something with air brakes, you have to have the CDL Class A. Right? Yeah, but I don't know about you guys, if you guys saw that, but somebody, I can't remember where it was. So, but some bus driver, I think they had 22 kids. City buses have air brakes. But I think they're trying to phase it out for electric brakes. Not even hydraulic brakes, which I have issues with them trying to modernize it that way. Yeah. Andy, I would say that I wouldn't be a bus driver. I would rather be a long haul. If you want to be a city bus driver, that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying that city bus driving is very different than most people expect. Okay. I mean, it's definitely a job. It's definitely possible to do. Like, absolutely possible to do. Hell, Andy, there's actually, I think there's schools for that. Like, even if you don't have your driver's license, some places will even help you. Yeah, school bus has less hours. You work twice a day. Generally. Jade might be able to correct me on that, but I know that the bus driver I knew worked in the morning, worked in the afternoon, and then occasionally weekends if they were in the rotation for sports. Yeah, private bus driver for a hospital to ensure on-time staff, or even just one of those medical drivers. You know, medical shuttle drivers is what I'd probably prefer to do. Worked all day due to bus trips for the school. Okay, that makes sense. We had a school bus driver that every Friday we got to have a paper war as long as we picked up after ourselves. Like, we would stop, have a paper war. Like, she would provide the crumpled paper. We had this place where we could stop off the side of the road. And we just have this like 15, 20-minute paper war. And then we drive on. You know, we actually, we're really good to that bus driver because she was good to us. But I think this is where I'm going to leave it for the night. I hope you all had fun. And tomorrow night, I will be picking back up with Maze, which is that corn game where I also have a teddy bear. It's quirky and fun, and I'm enjoying it. We finished Deep Sleep, for those of you that weren't there. That was actually a hard-fought battle. I have a question for those... Yes, Maze, as in the corn. I have a question for people. I have 2 games. It's corn, a big lump with knobs. It has the juice. If you guys want to watch me play a duck detective game, or do we want to see about running a VHS rental store? The Duck Detective game is kind of like a noir cutesy. The VHS rental store? Okay. So that'd be next. Okay, we got Green Jeans over here saying duck. Markiplier played Rewind 99? If he did, I haven't seen it, which would surprise me. I know Queso played Rewind 99. Now, here's the hilarity, Andy. I have something that probably they don't. I worked in a video store in '99. I actually know the job. I worked at a video rental place in '99. Which is why I thought that one would be kind of fun. But okay, so tomorrow night I'll also ask and see who else is in chat. So right now it's split between Duck Detective and Rewind 99. So You know, trying to be, because I don't care which one I play. They both look like fun. I just like to know, like, who, you know, what people want to watch. Like I said, The Duck Detective is a little bit cutesy, but it's got a very noir feel, like an old school detective novel. It looks like fun. Okay, well. Oh, yeah, I just play one and then the other. I mean, I'm definitely, this isn't a choice of which one I play. It's just which one I play next. I will play them all. Like, I have a bunch of games. Like I said, there was a bunch of games on sale, and the wife surprised me with a bunch of stuff on my... You second the duck? Okay, duck it is. I'm just going to say duck, because that's now 4 people. So we're going to play Duck Detective. That's what I'll be playing Monday and Tuesdays until we finish it. And then I'm going to go Rewind 99. Which, the Duck Detective, it's probably going to take me a couple of weeks. This isn't going to be a long game. Rewind 99, I have no idea how long it's going to take me, because I just saw, like, watched Queso play it for like the first half hour and realized I really want to play it and I don't want to spoil it for me, so I stopped watching. Sorry, Queso. I really do want to watch it, but I don't want to spoil the game for me, because I think it's more fun if I go in kind of blind. But yes, good night, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow night for Maze, and then drawing on Friday. Don't forget that tomorrow morning at 9 p.m. Central, yes, Central, Ghost will be playing a game. He said it, but I don't remember what game it was now. Damn it. Ghost will be streaming tomorrow morning at 9. I can't remember, because I'm a dumbass, what game he said he was going to be playing. And then I'll be back tomorrow night with Maze. And then Friday night with Maze. Have fun, guys. Wait, is it 9 or 10? I thought it was 9. I thought he normally starts at 9. That's why I grumble, snort. Because he starts so damn early in the morning. I mean, I know it's not that early in the morning, but it's early in the morning for me. Okay, well, you have a good one, Andy, and I hope to see you tomorrow night. Anyway, love y'all. Have fun. Bye-bye.